Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto content, and today we're going to be talking about Hedera Hashgraph or HBAR and really kind of addressing the market overall. Pretty much going in to see what is really going to be happening this weekend, as well as kind of analyzing next week as well. So realistically, let's kind of look at this. But before we jump into this video, I just want to let you guys know that we're still having that buy one get one 50% off for a limited time only now. I decided to up the ante and say, hey, you know what, let's not just do 25% off, let's do 50% off for the secondary poster, so you guys can get on here now and buy one or two Hedera Hashgraph themed posters. We do have two of them on here now, so you guys are more than welcome to do that. There will be links down in the description below as well as in the comments below. So with the market, we woke up today and the market is down about 4.5%. Totally fine, to be completely honest with you. I even mentioned in my live stream from yesterday, I said, hey, we could be seeing a major pullback on Bitcoin, and we did see that. Now, the thing that I also mentioned is when we see a pullback on Bitcoin, it also means that we see a larger pullback on most altcoins. For an example, some of these aren't down significantly. Like, for an example, XRP is still sitting on major support. It's only down about 2% opposed to Bitcoin's 4.5%. But if we come down here, we could see some altcoins are down 10%, 8%. Some are even actually up. It's funny, but we also see that Hedera Hashgraph is down 7.21%. Not happy to see it. Nobody is, right? But we also see the fact that a lot of things like this happen and they work like this perfectly. That is why we take some profit when we do move up significantly. For an example, now I know that this is the Binance chart, so Binance is saying that we're still at 45K. It's also saying that we hit about like 48K almost yesterday. I know that that is wrong. Currently, right now, this is actually what it should look like. This is the Coinbase one. So we'll just use the Coinbase one for now. But the interesting thing is that overall, I said we could see a major pullback. And the reason for that is because when we move significantly, there's always a slight pullback. So, for an example, we came up and we hit about 25% up in roughly about 6 days. So when we move up significantly like that, it's not a bad thing to, take a little bit of profit from your altcoins, especially if you're up significantly. Like, if you made $2,000 in one day on an altcoin, it's probably best to take a little bit of profit. Like, I personally took some profit yesterday. I even told you guys that, it wouldn't be too bad of an idea to take some profit because, you always want to secure a little bit just because you could possibly short it going up. We even seen most altcoins, like for an example, HBAR drop significantly on this ride up and then come back down on this dip here. So currently totally healthy, totally fine. I do think that we still have a little bit downward to go. This was only a 6.52 drop, and as you guys do see, we are out of this rectangle, and this rectangle was a solid support zone. And we also broke below the 200-day MA, which isn't anything too significant. I would have liked us to hold it and actually go a little bit higher before we had a pullback, but it's totally fine. Now, I do think that we will pull back about 13%. That will pretty much put us back to about 40K, nothing too crazy. Yes, I do think that it is possible that we even go lower. We could pull back about 17, almost 18% back down to 38K and possibly even retest this major support zone here, right here, sorry. Basically at a pullback of about 20% down to 37.3K. Now, I know a lot of people don't want me to say that, or they don't think that that is possible. It's totally fine. It doesn't really matter to me if you think it's possible or not. I'm just kind of going off of full market structure. So when we're talking about this was a 12.55% drop. Most drops are, a little bit higher than that. For an example, if we go back here, we could see that this was a 30% drop. Ultimately, it does like to pull back more than overall 13%. Now, this was a 30% drop. If we go back here, obviously this was when Bitcoin was very volatile, so a lot of it was kind of manipulated, if you will. This was about a 21% drop. And then we won't go off of this drop here because that was that, pretty much volatile price action, if you will. But most of the time, it's about an 18, 20, 30, and so forth. Even if we kind of go back here and address what was happening even at the top before we had a major dropping point, this was about 27%. Pullback from March was about 18.8%. And even this one was roughly about a 26% drop in price. So ultimately, I would not be surprised by a 20% drop. It's almost like meeting in the middle. If you wanted to really kind of, say, hey, I think that's a little bit too much, then I do think that we'll pull back to at least the 100-day MA, which this wouldn't be bad. This would be roughly about 38.6K. And then obviously, when we have a pullback like this, it's not like game over, or it's not like, oh, we're going into a bear market or anything like that. We would most likely pump even harder, because even if we look back, so obviously back here, these pumps weren't anything to really kind of look at, but we could still address them a little bit. So, the move from here to here was roughly about a 20% of an increase in price. This one wasn't really significant either. It was about 33 or 34%. And then off of this one, it took a little bit time, but we could kind of just go off of this one. So that was about 27%. And then this drop here, we pretty much pumped up before we had a nice correction. Again, about 45%. And even if we go back to here, we had a little bit of, a nice pump after this as well to the largest candle, 26.6, almost 26.7%. And then this one was significant. This was about a 28% one. And then this one also was roughly about a 44%. So we'll meet in the middle. We'll just say, what if we do a 30% of an increase in price from this current price point, right? So if we did a 30%, it would be roughly about 50K, which I do think is highly likely. I do think that we'll get back to 50K very soon. We could actually move this support line down to about 50K exact. Let me actually just put it in. So if we go to 50K exact, that's pretty much what we would be doing here. It would be roughly about a 29.13% of an increase in price from that mark there. And if we look, that's not a significant level to pump up to. Like, for example, if we repeat this pump here, 45.5%, guess where that puts us? That pretty much puts us back at these major prices, pretty much pre-all-time highs. So, I do think that that's something that will pretty much work into where we have a nice pullback and then we go even higher. Right now, Bitcoin does not look too great, honestly. We broke a nice key support line. We're below the 200-day MA, so I would not be surprised by volatile price action this weekend. And you guys might be wondering, well, what does that mean for HBAR? Well, good question. So again, with HBAR, we broke key significant levels. I wanted us to hold above the 200-day MA. I actually wanted us to hold in this rectangle up here. And ultimately, we didn't. We broke below those support lines, and we broke below the 200-day MA. We bounced off of the 100-day a little bit after breaking down below it. But again, it looks extremely weak. We could be seeing a lower low on this being printed, and we could be seeing, and when I say a lower low, I don't mean lower than this or anything like that, but I do think that we could be testing the 50-day MA. So we could break below 20 cents. I know a lot of people don't want to see that either, but it is what it is. And we could even go a little bit lower. We could actually retest maybe even 19 cents exact or even 18.5. 18.5 wouldn't be a surprise, even if we see here. This is about 18.7, almost 18.8. That is nothing too crazy for me personally. But again, the thing is that if we have, we'll just say, let's look at this. So if we have this nice pullback of about 17.2%, right? We'll kind of go off of a candle that was pretty bad for HBAR. We'll actually go off of these 3 days. So we'll go off of July 18th, 19th, and 20th. So let's go over here and get our price range. So realistically, a nice dropping point on HBAR. This was about 22%. So it was about the 18th to the 20th. So if we go back to the 18th of July, we could actually see that this wasn't too crazy of a move down. This was actually only about 9.71%. So it's roughly about 2 times what Bitcoin actually did when we look here. And it was actually a little bit over 2 times. But we'll just kind of say that we'll pull back about, what, 34%? So if we pulled back 34% from our current prices, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for doing this, but hey, it is what it is. So if we pull back 34%, we would be back down into the 14-cent zone. But I don't think that we move that down that significant. You know, back here, this is when price action was fairly weak. We didn't have too much volume or anything like that. So I doubt that we'll 2x the same drop. In fact, we'll most likely have just a slight pullback because dominance is actually lower now than it was here. If we actually looked at dominance right now, dominance is actually kind of fallen a little bit. So I don't think that will mimic the same drop from back here in July 2 times. Realistically speaking, we'd honestly probably go a little bit over 17 and we'll probably pull back to a nice support zone like at 18. So we'd have like about a 21% drop in price. And then guess what happens, right? Because we will most likely rally on Bitcoin. So we'd most likely rally back to around 25 cents or in between these candles again. This is where we would basically fall. Now, once Bitcoin goes even higher, dominance starts dropping, alts start getting the money pouring in. That's when we'll really see HBAR go off. Now, HBAR is not going to go, astronomically high until we get over that, all-time high price, which I do think that we'll see. There's a lot of people hating on HBAR right now in the market just because there's not too many updates on HBAR. That's totally fine. I already said it multiple times on my Twitter. I said, listen, if these people want to sell HBAR, I'd gladly buy their bags because I know that these prices right now are very undervalued, and I don't mind buying anybody's bags, especially if they are willing to sell HBAR. Listen, pullbacks are pullbacks at the end of the day. They are healthy. They're normal. It's totally fine. I even said it multiple times that a pullback on Bitcoin would not surprise me considering how much we pumped up. So when we look at HBAR, this pullback of 21%, we'd most likely make up for it and we'd go even higher. We might even go higher than our candle from yesterday. So we might actually just break out of this rectangle and get right back into overall price action from pretty much pre-dump phases. And then that's when we'll basically find a nice support zone. Hopefully that support zone is somewhere right here, basically mimicking that drop from April. So realistically speaking, that would be about from our current price, or from this price down here, I should say, if we did drop down to it, about a 54.38%. And we are not too far off from the all-time high either, a little bit over 2x from here. It's nothing too crazy, so I don't understand the overall impatience of HBAR right now. I'm totally happy with it. I'm totally fine with this price action. Slow price action is totally fine with me. Means that we are building a nice support zone here. And I already said it, right? The longer the consolidation, the higher the price after the consolidation is done. So anybody who is getting impatient on HBAR, that's totally fine. If you guys want to comment on this video and hate on it, that's totally fine as well. You guys could say HBAR is going nowhere, HBAR is this, that. But at the end of the year, I'd be laughing at you, and that's totally fine. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys don't want free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.